Okay. Hi, everybody. My name is Miss Kosick. I teach English Language Arts, and this is my 6th year at Community House Middle. I'm going to go over some important highlights with you, specifically to the English department, and a little bit of feedback as far as what I'm seeing so far. If you have any questions after today, please feel free to contact me through email, which is at the end of this slideshow, or you can always call and leave a message at the front desk of the school. So I'm going to share my screen with you right now so that you guys can see what I see. And I'm just going to go over a few things with you. As you know, and you're going to see this in all of your classes, curriculum nights, the grading policy is a 35-65 split. Informal grades are 35%, 65% for formal grades. So what's the difference? Informal assignments consider like homework, classwork, or participation, and then the formal grades are writing pieces, end of unit assessments, annotation assessments, seminars, which we have one coming up, novel assessments or tests. They do have the opportunity to retest for up to a 79, but as far as homework goes, most of the homework is going to be graded based on effort and completeness. So one of the things I want to talk about today is what I'm seeing so far. As if a student has a 0 in PowerSchool, then they either, for something with homework, they either did not do it at all or it was an extremely poor effort. I have been very, very lenient so far with kids submitting late work, and I have been very lenient with work quality. But really, there's zero excuse to have a 0 in my class. So what that means is I have many, many kids who are not submitting work already. And that's a problem because it sets a standard for what they're going to be doing in Unit 2, which is much more difficult than the unit we're in right now. And it also lets them know that, hey, this is how I'm going to conduct myself in class when we go to in-person instruction. And that's just not the case. So we're going to get to ways that we can assist with that very, very shortly. So we are working with something called the L curriculum this year, and it is a comprehensive standards-based core literacy program. It is new to the 8th grade, and so far I think it's a pretty cool program. It's different than Springboard, and so some of the kids might say it's a little more engaging. And so far they seem to like that. So there's 3 modules in the L curriculum that we're going to be working on this year. And they all work around the integration of character, building character, and academic mindsets. So it's a lot of goal setting, a lot of what does it look like to be a good person? What does it look like to be a good classmate? And it includes a lot of realistic 21st century skills, which is nice. As far as reading and writing tasks, they are all embedded in these lessons. So they're going to conduct close readings, writing tasks, group discussions, and performance tasks. And again, we're going to talk about a couple of those things in just a little bit. So the module that we're in right now is Module 1, and we're focusing on the folklore of Latin America. It's been a pretty cool unit so far, and we are reading that with our book, Summer of the Mariposas. We're almost done with the first unit of the module, which means there will be 2 more after this. So Module 1 will take us basically a third of the year. You can purchase these books on payforschoolstuff.com. But right now we are reading Summer of the Mariposas. Pretty soon, the next book we're going to be reading for Module 2 is The Omnivore's Dilemma. And I really, really want the kids to have a hard copy of that. They will have access to it online, which I'll show you shortly. But it's much, much easier for them to have a hard copy that they can mark in and they can use Post-its with so that they have it for quick reference. Okay, so I would highly recommend making sure you get a physical copy of the book for your students. And then the module 3 is going to be based on Japanese internment camp information. Each lesson does have some sort of vocab and grammar integrated into it. The kids do, for Unit 1, have a vocabulary log that they should be working on every single day. It will be quite filled by now, so if you want to check that, they're going to have at least probably 30 terms or so. If it's empty, you will know that your child is not doing what they should be doing. We're using a couple of digital resources, SchoolNet for one, to take some of the multiple choice short answer tests. We are using Google Drive. They do have a Google Drive set up just for ELA. And then in that Google Drive, they have lessons for each unit. So we've been working really, really hard on making sure that the kids stay organized. In the L curriculum, they have to make a lot of copies of Google Docs and things. So I do try to give them time to organize their Google Drive at least a couple times a week, but that's something that you can be doing at home too, is just saying, hey, let's go through and organize our Google Drives, because there's a lot of papers in there and a lot of resources, and a lot of times it can be difficult to navigate. So definitely make sure you're checking in once a week or so to make sure that their Google Drive is up to date. Canvas. Canvas is where we are accessing pretty much everything at this point. It's also where they're submitting work. The only thing I want to say about Canvas is that the grades in Canvas and the grades in PowerSchool are not necessarily the same. So Canvas gradebook can be a little bit difficult for the teachers to navigate. So I do use it as like a guide, and it's a good way for you to see, okay, this kid has, my kid has like all these zeros or whatever. But at the end of the day, PowerSchool is what you really, really, really want to be looking at. PowerSchool is up to date, it's exact grades, and I basically use Canvas to put the grades in PowerSchool. So please make sure that you are checking PowerSchool as a final answer to what your child's grade is. And then they do have access to Sora Online, which is where they're finding their books. So again, I would love for them to have a copy of Omnivore's Dilemma, but they will be able to access it online. Also, don't forget, if money or resources is an issue, you can always email the counselor. Our counselor is Val Johnson, and she will get a hard copy book for your child. Okay, so please don't hesitate to reach out to her, or if you're more comfortable reaching out to me through email, I can totally do that for you as well. No worries there at all. All right, this is the biggest thing. How can you be involved? I have a couple of ways that I would love to see you guys get involved so that you can, be there step by step with your child. There is a guide here, and this of course will be posted, that you can access to pair with your child's Canvas. This will mean that you can see everything that he or she sees. So it's super important. You can get announcements that way. You can see their assignments. If there's any important dates, they will also be on there. So those things, getting synced up with your parent Canvas is going to be super beneficial for your child. The other thing, and this is specific to my class, is joining my Remind 101. It is a little, there is an app for it, or you can do it. It comes to your email. However you want to sign up for it is fine. It's just Remind 101, and I believe it's remind101.com, so you should be able to find it pretty easily, or just Google it. And this is my class code. This is going to be, if I have to send out an email, hey guys, there's a big test coming up on Friday. Please be sure your child studied his or her vocab, whatever it might be. This is a very, very easy way for me to communicate very brief updates with you. It doesn't require a response. It just requires you, and they'll even come right to your phone. Okay, so very, very convenient for you to get involved. Here's another huge thing that I am seeing across the board, and I've heard other teachers saying this as well. At the end of the day, many teachers are off camera. I'm sorry, students. Many students are off camera. it's very likely based on grades and quality of work that they're not behind the screens. So in other words, I'm seeing a lot of kids, you know, I'll ask them for participation in the chat and they're not there. And I really believe that a lot of them are turning their cameras off and doing whatever they want. And so that is resulting in poor grades. If your child has less than an 85 in my class, they are not doing what they're supposed to be doing. That's just all there is to it. I cannot require your child to keep their cameras on. You can. That's totally up to you. Obviously, if there's some sort of accommodation that needs to be had, or, you know, a personal decision that you and your child make, that's fine. But I have a hunch that a lot of parents don't know that their child isn't on camera and it's affecting their quality of work. I am struggling as a teacher who's very interactive with her kids to speak to a blank screen. Typically, the kids that are off camera are also on mute, so I'm not getting any participation from those students whatsoever, and that can be a little difficult. It's always the same 3 or 4 kids that have their camera on that are participating, and the majority of the kids aren't. So it's very difficult for me to tell if they're even there. And if they are there, then, and they just don't want to be on camera, and that's a decision that you and your child make, then they need to be participating. The next bullet is just that, assisting with participation. These can really be quality lessons, and I know that online learning isn't ideal for everybody, but I want you to be aware that these are very well-written lessons from the district. I wouldn't say that if they weren't, I promise you, because I keep it real all the time. But these are actually very quality lessons if the students are doing their part. I'm here teaching every day to a blank screen. So if your child isn't doing what they need to do on their end, it's going to be a poor quality education, and it's going to result in them not learning anything and them getting poor grades. That's just all there is to it. A lot of the grades that are zeros in the grade book right now are based on reading passages, and they're not reading. So it puts me in kind of a juxtaposition, because do I read to them and take all their synchronous time, or do I trust them to read and give them quality lesson during their synchronous time? It's a dilemma. Right now, if it's something that I feel is essential that they have to read, I have to use my synchronous time to read it to them. Their tests are over specific chapters. So when those chapters show up, it's crucial that I make sure that they've read. And at this point, I can't trust them to do that on their own. I enjoy having the kids. I actually love my classes. I've got a lot of unique and cool personalities that mesh with me. And that's super cool for me, but it's tough when they're not doing their side of things. It's tough to see grades, you know, filling in grades as zeros. That's a personal struggle that I have. I don't want to see my kids fail, but I can't do it for them. This is key. I understand, and if a kid gets anything out of this, or if you do, this is the key thing I would like you to get. If a kid doesn't want to be on camera or participate in front of 20 kids, I totally get that. But the majority of the activities that they're doing are in small group. Sometimes they're with a partner. And if your child is choosing not to participate in that small group, then that other child is just sitting there waiting for them to respond. And that's not fair. It's not reality. It's not what's going to happen in the real world. It's not what's going to be what I allow in the classroom in a couple of weeks or months or however long it is until we go back to school. It's one thing to not participate in front of the whole class. It's a totally different thing to not participate in a small group, because that is required. So as far as I'm concerned, if they're not off mute, participating in the lesson, then I might as well mark them absent, because they're not even there. I don't require them to be on camera. Again, you can. If that's something you want and you want to email me and say, hey, let me know if my kid's not on camera today, I totally can do that. But I really, really need them to be participating in at least their group of 3 or 2 children, because then they're really not getting anything from their education, and that's no good for anybody. So those are the key ways that I could really, really use your help getting involved in that way. Tutoring on Mondays and Wednesdays, there is flex time from 3:45 to 4:15. If they want to shoot me an email and let me know if they have a specific question, I'm more than happy to hop onto this and help them with that. This isn't like, oh, my kid is failing, so I'm just going to force him to go to tutoring every day. That's not what this is. They have to have a specific question or a specific assignment that they need help with. They can come and say, Miss K, I don't understand lesson 3, work time A, and I can go over it with them. But they're not just going to come into my tutoring and say, well, my mom just wants me to be here because I'm failing. Okay, well then I need a list of assignments that you need to be working on so that I can monitor you appropriately. We've got to have these kids taking responsibility for their own learning. And they will find the link to the tutoring in the exact same place that they find all of their links for tutoring. So don't let them tell you they don't know how to get on. That's not true. They also can always stay back in asynchronous time. Usually what I say is like, okay guys, if you have any questions, hang back. If not, have a great week or have a great day and I'll talk to you later. So if they don't understand something, it's because they're not being proactive to take the time to ask me, okay? There are plenty of opportunities, but a lot of the kids, they have that freedom to log off, so they just do, okay? Makeup work, honestly, I don't even really follow this policy. I will take late work until the quarter ends, okay? But please make sure you're checking PowerSchool and Canvas to see what they're missing, specifically PowerSchool, because not everything from Canvas goes into PowerSchool. I really will try to be lenient with them. I'm pretty good about that, being understanding when something happens. A lot of the times, if it's a couple days late, I still might give them full credit, but don't tell my boss because I'm not supposed to do that. But if it's a week or 2 late, then I might take it off a couple of points, but it would definitely be valuable for their grade to submit makeup work. And also on Fridays during advisory, which is first thing in the morning, they get a study hall. So they should be, able to make up a lot of their assignments. And I also kind of give them some free time sometimes at the end of class to make sure that they're checking their PowerSchool. So they're well aware of what they're missing. My contact information is sarag.kosick@cms.k12.nc.us. And the CHMS phone number, this will take you to the front office, and then they will contact me and let me know that they have a message for me. Honestly, I'm really good about email. I'm pretty quick to respond. So please feel free to email me. That's the best way to get a hold of me easily. And you can email the front office if you have a school absence or anything like that, and then feel free to copy me on those emails as well if you'd like. Thank you so much for attending virtually. I really, really appreciate it. I'm hoping that we can start, now that navigation isn't an issue and now that internet isn't as much of an issue, I'm really hoping that we can start getting more out of the education and stop looking at this as, oh, this is such a burden, my kid's not doing well, my teachers aren't doing well, and look at it more as, hey, this is what we have. So we either make the most of it and try to get as much out of it as we can, or we can just keep, continuing to say that this is a waste of time. It really is going to start at home, and I will make sure that I'm doing my job to make sure I'm providing a quality education. Okay? Thank you so much for being here. If you need anything, please feel free to contact me. I am available, and I'm available for tutoring. Whatever it is that you need, please feel free to shoot me an email, and I will make sure I take care of that. You guys have a great week.